Alright, what is going on, guys? 2 days ago, the third issue of the Call of Duty Zombies comic ended up releasing, and a brief summary of it was that, of course, our crew was trying to get away from the zombies, ended up in a facility, ended up fighting Sophia, and of course, Sophia tried to get them killed by zombies, ultimately ending up with Marlton putting a element inside of a device, and of course, them pretty much putting them in these test tubes, them taking their blood to make sure that they're not zombies, and of course, humans, and them possibly ending up in simulation, and them saying that they actually cured the world, which was most likely a simulation. And then it had people puzzled that there was no reimagined loading cutscene of a older zombies map. And then actually the next day when people got their, of course, hard copies of the comic in real life instead of on like iPhone, we had this amazing beauty, the new imagined Nacht Der Untoten loading screen, which of course had people puzzled from all the way from Black Ops 1. Of course, y'all guys see the original one right here. It just really doesn't make sense. It really doesn't have a lot of context with our storyline. Very briefly, here's a summary of it right here. We have a scientist, of course, underneath a light bulb. He's possibly holding a pocket watch. All these just believed him to be doing that. And of course, it says 1964. The next image is, of course, a man. We see like a point of view shot of him, and there's these people running after him, chasing him. Possibly there's an explosion. Really don't know. Underneath that, of course, we see ZZZ. It seemed to be that these people are being mind controlled or brainwashed to do something. And of course, it says 1959. And right above that, of course, we have all these people that are possibly being brainwashed, like I said before. And the picture underneath that, they're just walking in a straight line. And right above it, it says silence, like they're being controlled. Next to that, 1943, seems to be that we have a Pentagon thief-like character, of course, because we see like these numbers that the Pentagon thief, of course, leaves behind when he's teleporting and stuff like that. And right above that, we have a silhouette, and there's a bunch of crates to Russia, China, Vietnam, and of course Cuba. So we have a very different thing in the new Imagine one for Black Ops 3, kind of friendly. Of course, it seemed to be like Black Ops 2 and Mob of the Dead, stuff like that. So here it is right here. We have, which I believe is Brutus. A lot of people are saying is Brutus or Stanley Ferguson, which is the warden in Mob of the Dead. And it's very interesting that it says 1914. Now we have no zombies map that takes place in 1914. Of course, we have Origins, which takes place in 1918 in France, but 1914 is the beginning of World War I, which is kind of very interesting. And another thing that leads out that this possibly Stanley Ferguson, of course, he's kind of holding the baton, and it looks very similar to Brutus, just without his hat on. The next image is very similar to the original Nacht Der Untoten one. Kind of has a man, there's like a flag, but one thing that I believe this is, of course, this is possibly the warden's office. Of course, this is another picture of Stanley Ferguson. He's possibly summoning demons or just entities in general. This is possibly how Mob the Dead started, and he's the controller of it, which is very interesting. We have a theory on that, and this of course takes place in 1943 because it's kind of in the bubble of that as well. Underneath that, we have 4 test pods, which is just very interesting because we never seen 4 test pods in Black Ops 3, but these are the same pods that of course Dempsey was in. We see a picture of the Rising Draka of actually 4 people in it. We're really not sure. Maybe the Mexican Tough Subject is of course in the 4th one, really not sure. Some people are saying that this is the Mob the Dead characters because 1933 is the same place that Mob the Dead takes place, and people are saying very similar to the Zombies comic in issue number 3 that they're possibly in a simulation because there's no way that they cure the world of zombies, and that's the reason why Mob the Dead is that too. They're just in a simulation, which I thought was very interesting. And it just says which can be like an alarm, like or you know, it's just like interesting or something like that. Right above that, we have pretty much the exact image, except there's like cell blocks right above that, and it says shuffle, and of course it means possibly just prisoners walking. And then we have a very interesting one right here. It says 1941, which is just very interesting. I mean, it had no other thing. World War II is of course going in 1941. It's just when the US joined it, of course. And right above that, we of course have Alcatraz, and we have pretty much the same exact silhouette figure, and he just like kind of looking at this cell block, and it seems to be like the same exact thing as Mob the Dead, just instead without the crates and the other Nacht Der Untoten one. Here's a very interesting one as well. Now, of course, at the end of the Zetsubo Easter egg, we of course traveled to Alcatraz, which was revealed in Revelations when Dempsey was of course speaking to Rick Toffin. We didn't know our characters when, but we have a very similar portal, like a cylinder kind of egg-shaped portal, and of course they go through it, and this looks pretty much exactly like our characters. Of course, we have Richtofen, the main silhouette figure. Of course, we have Nikolai to the right because his hat looks very similar, and of course, closest to Richtofen on the left, of course, Dempsey has kind of more like a square, rectangular type head shape, and of course, Takio in the back because he kind of has more like a circle head shape because he, of course, has his hair tied back in a bun. So that was a mouthful. I'm really not sure if we'll have any more. Many people are saying that there's hints towards DLC number 5 that they're just recreating the map, and of course we're gonna have a twist on them, and of course they're just going to end up releasing them. I think this could very be the case as well, that they just may be revamping this because they really did not like Jimmy Zelensky's direction, and of course Jason Blundell is going in a different direction, kind of erasing Jimmy Zelensky's scoreline with the loading screens and just adding these in right here. So hopefully every single last one of you guys did of course enjoy this video. Of course it's going to be a little bit of a late one. I want to try to upload some more theories or something like that, really not sure, some other games, but you know, I'm not going to try to upload every single day. I'm just going to upload when, you know, something of course comes out, or just when something interesting happens, or just really whenever. So like I was saying before, hope every single last one of you guys did of course enjoy this video. Having an amazing day. Peace out.